like this. I like this. I like this.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Sports Arena. I'm Megan Price, and I'm going to be hosting tonight. And since I'm, the queen of hoop, we're going to focus on mainly basketball tonight. And side note, I've got the ladies from Chicks and Salsa joining me tonight, along with John Shearer. So let me go ahead and get everybody on board. We got Carrie Johnson. What's up, Carrie? How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing
Feel
really,
like I'm
really
creeping
well.
late at night.
It is late on the East Coast. Also, we have Jen Lewis joining us as well.
What up, ladies?
Hey, Jen, how are you?
Good. How are you all?
Doing really well. How's your evening?
Pretty good. How about yours?
Going really well. Also, we got Candy Ebling joining us from the South Florida Tribune. What's up, Candy?
Hi, everybody. How are you, ladies?
Hi, Candy.
Doing great. It's almost like it's a Tuesday or something.
Right?
Something like that,
It's
yeah.
a takeover. Is this what we call a takeover?
Yes.
Absolutely. Well,
On
but
ladies'
you know
night?
what we have? We have one of the Sports Arena regulars with us tonight, and Sideline Sports. We got John Shearer. What's up, John Shearer?
Hey, how's it going? We're gonna talk.
John.
There's
Welcome to
There's
ladies'
not a
night.
whole lot of guys that can hang out with this many women, I think, on the panel. John, you are one of them.
Thank you. I
Welcome to ladies'
appreciate
night,
that.
John.
The last John had a really cool TV show back in the early 80s. I'm just saying.
I was not alive yet.
You know what, John? I don't
Oh,
like
no,
Don't talk about
no, 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 no.
I cracked your
That's
head.
funny.
You
All
know-
right, guys. Well, we have a jam-packed show for you tonight, so I want to go ahead and just delve into it. This first topic is a really detailed topic, and we're going to talk about the men's and the women's NCAA season coming up. The season starts on November 7th for both men's and women's. And so I'm going to go ahead and read the top 25 for the men's right now, and then we'll just kind of break that down a little bit. So for the men's, not a big surprise. We have UNC at number one. They have a ton of returning players, so not surprising that number one comes in, but we'll delve into that in a second. At number two, we got Gonzaga. At number three, we got Houston. At number four, we have Kentucky. At number five, we have Baylor. Actually tied for number five is Baylor and Kansas. Then at number seven, you have Duke. At number eight, you have UCLA. Then you have Creighton. At number 10, you have Arkansas. Number 11, you have Tennessee, followed up by the other UT, Texas, at number 12. At number 13, you have Indiana. At number 14, you have TCU. At number 15, you have Auburn. At number 16, you have Villanova. Then you have Arizona, Virginia, San Diego State, Alabama.
Ugh.
At number 21, we have Oregon. At 22, we got Michigan. At 23, we have Illinois. 24, Dayton. And at 25, rounding it out with another Texas school, Texas Tech. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and start off and talk about if you have a particular team that you follow yourself, let's talk about what to expect out of the season from them. And then let's talk about who you think is going to overachieve, do better than expected, and who you think is going to underachieve. Jen, you want to lead us off?
Sure. So I am a little bit biased because I did have the privilege of going to ACC Media Tip-Off Day. So, which was epic.
Awesome.
And thank you, Fago, again. I don't know why I just said Fagan, but I went for men's
It's
and
Megan.
Megan, I know, right? I'm combining you two. But I think, honestly, we'll see in the championship game. I really foresee a repeat. I see us go Carolina and Duke again. I really had a different appreciation for Coach Shearer. I know Shire. He's known Coach K since he was 16. He's already got the respect of the locker room. Duke had actually a lot of returning players, especially for a one and done school. But I'll say this, Carolina, like, Megan, you know me, you know how this is my jam, especially from the NBA carousel. Positivity wins in the end. It does.
Absolutely.
It does. And I can see Carolina going all the way. I really do, just because and I don't know if you heard my husband who decided to interject, but we're the number one already in all the polls. Thank you. And and I just, that positivity was palpable in that room.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
there was another person from women's that I'll talk about in a little bit that I think will be surprising too. But I
Okay.
really feel like Atondo is going to come back. He wants to break the record with David Robinson. Caleb
Mhm.
Love came back. RJ's coming back. Like, they're coming back. They have records to beat. They're determined. They're bound. They're having fun. They're not just a team. They are literally a family. So,
Right.
and that's something I didn't see from the other guys.
Right. Okay. And who do you think is gonna underachieve this season?
Cavaliers.
Not on the NBA, on
No.
NCAA.
She means
Huh?
Virginia. She means Virginia.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean Virginia.
Okay. right,
Sorry. Thank you,
Um,
John.
what makes you think that they're going to underachieve?
They have too much riding.
Okay.
They're going to make the tournament, but I don't think they're going to go as far as they think they will.
Okay.
And as they
All right. John, you want to jump on this topic? Do you have a college team that you follow?
Yeah, they're really bad. They've been bad for a while. I'm a Gators
no.
fan, and
Oh,
it's
okay.
we've been bad. Billy Donovan was the last time we were good, and that was a long, long time ago. And
Right.
we had our back-to-back championships with him, with Joakim Noah and Corey Brewer, and you know
Right.
those guys. Like, that was a long, long time ago. So we've been
You
really
have
bad.
to add that
since then.
extra long. I remember it pretty clearly.
Yeah. I mean, those back-to-back championships were nice with Joakim Noah and all those guys,
Right.
but we have not been good since. So there's not anything to talk about with my Gators. They've just been an absolute disappointment since Billy Donovan left. And it hurts, especially to see teams like Tennessee and Alabama and Auburn,
Mhm.
you know, in the top 25, because I hate them. They're from the SEC, and anything SEC, not Gators, I absolutely hate. So, you know, I just hate anything
Hey, you know,
SEC.
we're coming. We're coming for the SEC.
I forgot you even existed.
Horrible. All right. So who do you think is going to overachieve this season? Who do you think nobody like the dark horse pick? And then who do you think is going to underachieve this season?
I think UNC is going to underachieve. I mean,
Oh,
they had their
no.
nice little run and stuff. You know, I mean, I know they got to like overcompensate for what the Carolina Panthers don't do. They're trying to stink up the, you know, Carolina. Sorry, Jen, but I think UNC, like, I just have this feeling. And of course, I can't say Gonzaga because, like, Gonzaga does what they're supposed to do each year, and that's choke. So really, is that overachieving at this point? Because, like, we literally expect, unless you're Mike Cartenuto, who seems to think Gonzaga is like the greatest thing in the world, and then all of a sudden they choke like every single year. So, I mean, that's Gonzaga for you. Oh, there's Ty, right? You know, he's upset about the UNC comment, but it's got to be UNC for me. And then, you know, I don't know, like the team. I don't really have a team that's gonna like shock you, but I just think that UNC isn't gonna be. They're not gonna be that number one team when you're looking at them right now. I don't think they're gonna be there at the end of the regular season.
Okay.
And I don't think they make like a deep run in the tournament. But we'll see whenever the NCAA tournament comes.
All right, Carrie. Do you have a team that you actually follow? If you don't, just talk to me about what you watch in general.
So a team that I follow one specific team? No, not really. I enjoy watching the raw talent that you find and see in the college level, and that you see now that it's more spread across. Side note, John, I'm going to make you young or really expose myself on age here. Shush. What is that?
Oh no.
He's gone.
It's fine. He gets booted every show. So.
So I actually chose the Zags to be my Cinderella team in 1995 because I had watched, and they were a complete Cinderella that year. That was their first time they'd really made it anywhere in the big dance. So it's neat to see that from 95 to 2022, you're looking at how the entire division has evolved and changes. So the thing that I found most interesting is Creighton, because I have watched Creighton for many years because of the rivalry between Missouri State, which used to be SMSU, but we were in the same division then years ago. And so to watch them become a powerhouse, that's kind of cool to watch as well.
Right.
I like watching that raw talent because by the time it gets to the NBA, even though it is different than it was in the late 90s and early 2000s where it was very weighted, you get to see this as that raw talent and how how it's spread across. And there's lots of teams that get to be very exciting, especially towards the late of the season when you see them all starting to gel and get to really going. That's what I like about the men's and women's basketball is it gets that excitement built up. And by the end of the season, you're seeing some phenomenal games.
Absolutely agree. By the time that March Madness hits, my family knows just don't expect me home. I come home for Kennedy's birthday, and that's about it. The rest of the time, I'm out watching basketball. Candy, okay, so I know who you follow in the NBA, but who do you follow in the NCAA?
I pretty much stay true to form. So I'm Wisconsin bred through and through. So I follow the Wisconsin Badgers. This year, I'm not expecting a lot because as we all know, Johnny Davis is now a Washington Wizard, and he played last year for the Badgers. And so with him moving on, he leaves a giant hole in our lineup. We've had a couple of different transfers from the transfer portal. So it'll be interesting to see how people gel in our in our group. And then they're predicting last year they predicted them to finish like 10th in the Big Ten, and they shared the title. So this year they're projecting them to be 7th. So I'm hopeful, but I'm optimistic knowing that like we have sophomores and freshmen and it's a young team. And Wisconsin really is one of those that they're not the one and done schools. They're not known for basketball, so people aren't coming there, and trying to move on to the NBA as quickly as other schools. So they have to develop their talent and play a couple of years. And since some of them are gone, I think it'll be an off year for us. I think it'll be tough. But I still follow my team and love my Badgers. I really think the team that might disappoint might be Duke.
Okay.
I think we might have,
and that's a good possibility. I agree with that.
I do. Overachieve. Let's see. I think it'll be interesting to see how many teams from the Big Ten stay in, because right now the top 25, there's 3, and I think there'll be more. So I think the Big Ten will show up more than what people give us respect for.
Okay. And myself personally, I think it's going to be the Big 12 that actually is in both of these topics. I actually see Baylor underachieving. I think that, they lost Sochan. He went into the draft. My Spurs drafted him. I mean, he's looking great. Thank you, Baylor. I just don't think that they're going to have the same cohesiveness going into this because he is the power forward. He's a very important piece to that team. Do they sign well? Do they recruit well? Absolutely. So will there be somebody there to fill his place? Yes. But I think that it's going to take some time and some development, and that's what this season is going to be for. Overachieving. I actually think we're going to see Texas Tech do really, really well. For about 4 different years or so, seasons, we've seen them make pretty deep tournament runs. And I think that's what we're going to see out of Texas Tech this year. I think that they just really stood behind their new hire, which he wasn't exactly a new hire. He was their assistant coach whenever Chris Beard left and went to UT. And as y'all know, UT is my team. And I would love to say that's the team that's going to overachieve, but I just don't see it happening. And I think you got to give credit where credit's due. And this season going into it, I see it being Texas Tech. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and slide over to the women's. It killed me to pick Texas Tech. I just think that's how much I really feel like they deserve that credit. So let's jump over to the ladies real quick. And we will get to Texas very quickly. But at number 1, we have South Carolina. No surprise there. They won the championship. At number 2, you have Stanford. Once again, not a huge surprise. And then you have Texas at number 3. Just thrills me to say this. We have 2 players that are already on watch list as far as awards, regular season awards. So at number 4, we have Iowa. I don't think that's very surprising as well. Caitlin Clark is there. At number 5, we got Tennessee. At number 6, you got UConn, who just suffered another major injury for a player that's going to be out for the entire season. So keep that in mind. Then you have at number 7, Louisville. We saw them make a Final Four appearance this season, this past season. So I expect big things out of them. Number 8, you have Iowa State. Number 9, you have Notre Dame. At number 10, you have NC State. And I think they sit pretty accurately right there. At number 11, you got Indiana. At number 12, you got UNC, and they were kind of your Cinderella story from the tournament last season. At number 13, you have Virginia Tech. Then you have Ohio State. Then you have Oklahoma, LSU. Number 17, you have Maryland. At number 18, you have Baylor. 19, you have Arizona. At number 20, you have Oregon, then Creighton, then Nebraska, South Dakota State, Princeton, and Michigan. And a quick reminder, South Dakota State, that's Becky Hammond's alma mater. So let's go ahead and jump into the ladies. Jen, what do you have for this season for your UNC players? And then who do you think is going to overachieve and underachieve?
I think UNC will kind of be middle of the road. They'll go into the tournament. They'll be fine. They're not going to win it all. I think who's going to overachieve? Here's where I'm torn. I've got 2 teams that I really think are going to overachieve. And I think it's because of coaching changes that have been made in the off season. I met Coach Felicia Jack, Coach Jack from Syracuse. Y'all, her positivity, and I don't use this next phrase often because I save it for very special people. She was almost godly. Like,
oh my gosh,
she was just that person you want to be around. She emulated kindness, goodness, encouragement, dedication, determination, everything you want in a coach. And that is everything Syracuse needs, especially coming from what they came from with their abuse. She was able to stay. She said during the presentation, she said, learn Tisha Hyman's name. She said, learn it because y'all are going to know it. She's going to be a WNBA star. No other coach said that. The other coach that highly impressed me and truly had the respect of her team was Coach Amika Agola Hampton, Coach Mox from Virginia. So I think they're going to do better. And what's interesting is, even though I said the Cavs are going to underachieve on the men's side, I think they're going to overachieve on the women's side. But those 2 teams work well together. They're a family. Both sides said that. Who's going to underachieve? I'm going to go with John's team.
just for the heck of it.
He wins, and we're only 1 game out of taking over the lead in the NFC South. Just saying. Because we got rid of Roll and boo Baylor.
Okay, we're not to NFL yet, but all right, John, talk to us about your Gator ladies, and then what you expect this season. Who's going to overachieve and who's going to underachieve?
Yeah, I think the team that's going to underachieve, it has to be UConn. I mean, without Paige, I just don't see them doing what we're used to seeing them do. And as I said before, they haven't quite been the same UConn that we've been accustomed to in the mid 2000s and things of that nature. So it's got to be UConn for me. Without Paige, I just don't see it. I just don't see that. And I don't really have a team that's going to, I guess, overachieve. I really don't have anybody else in that category, but I think when it comes down to it, you're going to have the same 4 teams in the Final Four. Like, you kind of, whenever we watch the women's tournament, it kind of ends up being the same. Usually it's the same teams. Like, there's not really too many Cinderellas whenever it comes to the women's side. I mean, the men's side has more Cinderellas, but yeah, you really don't see that in the championship. But the women's side, it's typically the same, the same 4 teams in the Final Four almost every year. And I feel like UConn is kind of not really that team, anymore. I don't really feel like they're that team. I feel like you're still going to get your Tennessees, your Stanfords, like teams like that. You're still going to get those South Carolinas. You're going to get teams like that. So that's what I think. But I'm definitely down on UConn this year all the way. If they had Paige, I mean, I would be all over them. But Paige is so special that when you lose somebody like that, I don't see how you make up for that.
No, I completely agree. I definitely think they've taken a step back. In addition to, they have other injuries besides Paige. So I definitely agree with that take.
And I feel
Carrie,
like.
Oh, go ahead.
I feel like when you take away Paige, that's like getting your Halloween candy on Monday and you take out like the Reese's peanut butter cups and then you're left with everything else and you're like, well, this really isn't that good because you took away like
right.
Reese's peanut butter cups. Like that's the best part of the bucket of candy.
And you're left with all the peanut butter taffy. Yes. That would be...
like take it away. Like what's left? Like,
Right. I love the Halloween reference there. Okay, so Carrie, talk to us about what you've seen in women's basketball, who you enjoy watching and what you expect, and then just kind of the over and underachievers.
So, again, I'm going to say I'm not sure about over and underachievers as much as I'm looking forward to watching SC again. I think South Carolina is going to be as interesting and as exciting as they were last year. So that'll be fun to watch. The Lady Vols, if I were to say I had a team that I followed for a while, they were the Lady Vols. I would like to see them kind of start regaining their Pat, the reign like they had with Pat. But so I might be secretly rooting for them. That if I was going to say that.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I don't hate it. The only problem I have with it is I hope they don't knock out the other UT.
Well, I mean, I understand. And by no means am I hooking my star to any specific team. I'm always going to. I mean, it boils down to I'm always going to root for Mizzou because they are my home state. Missouri State, if they ever make it past the initial nod, yeah, I'm going to root for them. We've made it a couple times, but that coach was long gone, and he's now I can't remember where he is now, but that's beside the point. But yeah, I'd like to see UConn and the ladies' balls to see them have that again. But without Paige, it's going to be a whole that kind of takes UConn out of the picture. But just to see some return to glory of teams, coaches, where the coaches shined for so long. That would be neat to see, but at the same time, it's always neat to see a new face, a new team spark and ignite. So, I just like watching excitement. So I don't want to watch a high school game at a college level, and that's kind of where it falls into.
Okay. All right, Candy. Talk to us about your team, what you expect out of them this season, and then what do you expect out of the season overall?
Okay, well, we'll talk about my Wisconsin Badgers. They have been really a non-factor in the women's side for a long time. They did make an interesting hire this year for coach. They have former UConn star Marissa Mosley that took over the coaching job, so it'll be interesting. But the Badgers have not seen the NCAA tournament since 2009-10 season, so it's been a really long dry spell for them. So it'll just be interesting to see and how they compete. I noticed in the polls when you read all those names, 6 of those schools were Big Ten schools. So for Wisconsin to really be able to have a shot, it's going to be a real tough uphill climb with a new coach and then trying to deal with so many teams in the Big Ten that are in the top 25. Mm-hmm. I would love to see them beat them all, but realistically, I don't think it'll happen. I think it's always hard the first year a new coach comes in. First
For
of
sure.
all, she didn't recruit those players, so for her to gel with them and impose her style, it'll be interesting to see how they respond.
Right.
As far as overachievers and underachievers, I'm not sure. I think it'll be very interesting to see. I was surprised to see that there was 6 teams of the Big Ten, because I don't normally hear Big Ten women doing real well. So I think it'll be interesting to see how well they compete against everybody else.
Absolutely agree. Now, I want to go ahead and kind of give a nod to what Carrie actually talked on and talk about Tennessee a little bit. I think that's that team, and it's hard to say that they're an overachiever whenever, or that they're going to overachieve when they're already in the top 5. But I think they're very dangerous. I think this is a team that you can look at and say they have the capability to beat South Carolina. And I mean, and that's the juggernaut. And don't get me wrong, Stanford is a juggernaut as well. But Stanford and Texas are comparable teams to me. I feel like they both lost a little bit in the draft, but they are both developing some more players. And, it's the record between the two of them is even right now as far as wins and losses over the last couple of seasons. So like both of those teams are very competitive. As far as underachieving, now they're listed at number 10, and I think that's pretty accurate, but I think eventually they're probably going to fall a little bit lower than that, and that is NC State. I think we're used to seeing them in the top 5, definitely the top 6 over the last 8-9 years. They lost a couple of their players, and they actually weren't even drafted. Kai Crutchfield, which is actually one of our Sideline Sports members' cousins, Joseph Jenkins, she went undrafted, and I was really shocked by this because I thought that we were going to see her somewhere within the WNBA, and it ended up not working out that way. There's only 144 roster spots, and it's very hard to make the league. So I think that NC State puts out talent on a regular basis, but that this is going to be an off season for them. All right, guys, that wraps up NCAA. Let's go ahead and slide over to the NBA. Now, the week 1 has wrapped up. We're going into week 2 for the NBA season. It's looking kind of familiar for the Lakers right now. It looks like a complete and total continuation of the Lakers' woes. Talk to us a little bit about what you think is going on with LA, if you think anything has changed, or what do you think needs to change? Jen, you want to start us off?
I think what needs to change is probably LeBron James's attitude. Like, dude is getting burned all the time. I read an article about 45 minutes ago where how he cheats on his wife is coming out now. Like some podcast is busting.
Well, that would be alleged. Like
alleged.
That'd be alleged.
Well, is it alleged when she's seen it?
Alleged. Everything is
okay. Alleged. You're right. Okay. According to the podcaster, alleged cheating.
Okay, let's keep it to the team.
But I do think that it's his attitude, because several years ago it started becoming apparent a lot of the big name players didn't want to play with him anymore, unless they were already buddies. The Lakers had a really hard time getting people to come to LA to play with him. They wanted to play elsewhere, so that proof is in the pudding. And I think LeBron needs to check his attitude at the door. So that's just me. Like, if something's not right, if everybody's the jerk, you got to look at yourself.
Okay. All right, John. I see you're over there itching to talk. So go ahead and give it to us.
That absolutely does not compute at all. A guy that's averaging, at his age, he's averaging 27, 11, and 7 at his age. Like, on a team.
Great player, but he gives up on his team.
What do you mean gives up? He's averaging 27, 11, and 7. That's nearly a triple-double. How does he make it 39?
He has a hissy fit when he doesn't get his way. He walks off the court. He gets coaches fired. He gets general manager fired.
Wait. I thought you were talking. Are you talking LeBron or are you talking Russell Westbrook?
I'm talking LeBron.
I'm sorry.
She's talking LeBron. She's talking LeBron.
Jen, how many guys?
Westbrook.
How many guys in NBA history at this age average almost a triple-double? I mean, it's only a couple games, but average a triple-double.
Oh, absolutely. I'll say this, John. Straight up, LeBron is easily the most naturally gifted athlete ever. What disappoints me is he doesn't have the follow-through. That's my opinion. Just seen him give it
Okay.
up. And
Okay,
I-
John, talk to us. What do you think the problem is
Yeah,
with
it's
the Lakers?
definitely. I mean, the roster construction. However you want to put it, whether you say that's on them listening to LeBron with what he wanted, or I mean, that's what the GM is for. The roster construction is really bad. So I think, and I've said this before, I think LeBron's going after the season. So I think that you just tear it all down. I think you get draft picks. I think you tear it all down. I think you get rid of AD.
They
trade
don't
the
have
picks
draft
for
picks
him.
though.
Right. That's what I'm saying, though. You get rid of AD to get draft picks. That's
Oh,
what
I
I
see.
think, because you really don't have a whole lot. So
Right.
I think you start with AD, try and move him. I know it's a large contract, but you try and move him. That's how I think you fix this. I don't think it's LeBron's fault as far as on the court, because when you're doing 27, 11, and 7, and you're averaging almost 37 minutes a night to start the season, and you're that age, you're willing to give up your body like that. I can't say it's your fault on the court. I think it's partially to blame off the court because he helped construct this roster and they gave everything for that 2020 Mickey Mouse Championship, and they're paying the price now for it with what you see on the roster because they absolutely gutted the roster of all their young talent for that Mickey Mouse Championship, and now they're paying the price. So I can't say it's LeBron's fault on the court, but they got to tear this thing down and absolutely restart, get rid of every piece that you have to try and build for the future because you have nothing. You have AD, who's, damaged goods, and you have LeBron who's gonna leave after the season. So you really don't have anything at all.
Okay. All right, Candy, what are your thoughts on it?
I agree. I also think with Russell Westbrook, you have a problem with some egos not playing together. They're not gelling. I don't know. I almost kind of, and I hate to say this because I know Megan, you don't want me to reference it, but I almost take it like my Green Bay Packers. Like you expect them to be doing better because you have some talent on that team and they should be winning, but they're not. And I think it's
well said.
a team approach that they're not playing as a team. They're playing more each individually, and then they're blaming other people.
Right.
They have to look in the mirror and say, hey, what do I need to do to better this team?
Right. All right, Carrie, what are your thoughts on the Lakers?
I agree, and I'm gonna throw another analogy out there, and you can shoot me if you want to, and whatever. But you're looking at someone who is an aged player that has dedicated to the team. Do I like LeBron? Would I go out of my way to go find him? The answer is no. Is he putting forth the effort to carry a team? Abso-freaking-lutely. Would in my shoes, if I all of these people that I'm looking at, all of you guys, and the people that we work with here with Sideline, we put forth effort. 110 is our minimal effort that we put in. Whether it's here, whether it's in our real life, whether it's in our family life, that's what we put forward. So you got LeBron that is doing just that. He's putting forth all of his efforts, and his leadership skills suck. So he's doing the Tom Brady, not throwing the tablet per se, but he's expressing his dissatisfaction of having to put forth so much effort every time with an aging body, and he's tired. Well, we all been in that position. We're all tired. There are times that we have carried our workplace on our back, and we're tired. I can see that with him. He's tired. I don't blame him. That's a very physical thing. I think Russell Westbrook is acting like a spoiled brat. I think he needs to step up to the plate, put forth the effort, and he needs to be benched and only be subbed in. That's my thought. Now, I'm not a big NBA fan. This is just something that I've been watching and observing, and I'm like, you're a spoiled brat. You're throwing fits, and no one is getting anywhere because everybody's throwing tantrums. So, end of story. That's kind of where I'm at.
Most of those people on that roster are close to 40, and besides LeBron might need to be coming off of the bench,
Yeah.
And there's going to hit a point in LeBron's career if he continues to play that he's going to have to hit that same role. Now, I don't think that he's there yet. He almost won the scoring championship last season, so I don't think he's there yet. But eventually, in his last couple of seasons, we're talking this is season 20, and if he gets to a point where he's going to better serve his team coming off of the bench. I don't think that's this season. Russ, I do think that's this season. And why? Why did the Lakers let Carmelo Anthony go? That was one of the best players on your team last season. Like, why did you let Carmelo Anthony go? It's not his fault. He is the age that he is. He comes off the bench and he fills that role. You need a shooter. Why did you let Carmelo Anthony go? So, but let's go ahead and move on to the other LA team. Let's talk about the Clippers. And with the Clippers, we're going to talk a little bit about injuries as well. So we're going to talk about Zion and Kawhi, who both over the last 2 games have actually hit the injured status. Now, Zion's is not very serious, and neither is Kawhi's at this moment. Kawhi is listed as knee stiffness. No surprise. And then Zion, he took a hard spill coming down from the basket and he landed on his hip, likely a bone bruise, not a very serious injury. Now, who do you have more faith in? Kawhi, as we were talking about coming off of the bench, Tyronn Lue actually has Kawhi on minute restriction and coming off the bench currently. So, and Kawhi expressed that he was actually happy with this, that he felt like that his organization was catering to his rehab process and was there for him in a different type of way than his previous team. So obviously he's happy with it, but what are your thoughts on these 2 players? Are they going to continue to be on this injury status? Is this going to be a reoccurring theme for them? And who's going to overcome it? John, start us off.
Yeah, I mean, you made a lot of great points there, Megan. You know better than any of us when it comes to Kawhi exactly how he is with his injuries. If he does not feel 100%, he went through this with San Antonio. You know this good and well. Like he did not want to come back when he had his injury with San Antonio unless he felt 100%, and he felt that San Antonio did him wrong. So the Clippers are doing the smart thing and making sure they don't. Not that I blame San Antonio, but they really didn't know that Kawhi was like this. I guess I would say fragile when it comes to like his injuries, where he's like, I'm not coming back unless I'm 100%. Where some guys are like, hey, I'm, my leg hurts or my arm hurts, but I'm still pushing through it, So I'm not knocking Kawhi, but the Clippers doing what they got to do. I respect that. I'm more concerned about Zion's injury. I mean, we knew that Kawhi's coming. We really haven't seen him in about 2 years. So we understand that this is going to be how it is. The Clippers have the bigger goal in mind when it comes to they know they're going to get to the playoffs. They just kind of got to load management, make sure he's fresh for the postseason. Whatever seed they end up, they know they're going to get there. The Pelicans, Zion is the one I'm concerned about because this was
but this would have happened to anybody. This wasn't an injury caused by his size or anything like this. This was just Zion, a hard fall from a basket.
Right. But much like Anthony Davis, it's always something. Like with Zion, it's always something. Like I was like, oh man, Zion's finally healthy. We're gonna see Zion. Not that he's out for a season, not that he's out for a while, but it's concerning because with Zion and guys like Anthony Davis, it's always something. And then when you think they're healthy, and you need them night in, night out. Oh, he's hurt. He has a bruise. He has this, he has that. It's always something. And that's my concern is Zion's never healthy. Even if it's a minor injury, he always has something. And it's come on, man. When are we going to get to see Zion in full effect or there's none of this where it's just Zion for 78 games because they'll probably rest him for a couple. When are we going to get to see that? Mm-hmm. I feel like this is just kind of what I expect with Zion, where it's always they're a major or minor injury, but he's never fully healthy. Kawhi, we already know, like I said, we already know what to expect with Kawhi.
Yeah, thank you, San Antonio. We know what to expect. Okay, Candy, talk to me about Kawhi and Zion. What are your thoughts on these injuries?
Kawhi knows his body, and I think he really knows when to push it and when not to push it. And I think the other teams, I don't know if they respect that. And I think some players are really in tune to their body and know how much they can handle and what they can't handle. And I think as we age sometimes, we're more in tune to that. Zion's, I think, is really young. I'm concerned. He's almost like the Tua. I hate to say that, John. The Tua
you got that dolphin pillow back there.
I know. Well, because,
He's-
sorry, but he's always injured.
right.
There's always something. That's why I'm saying it. And
Okay.
but yeah.
All right, Jen. What are your
I
thoughts
did
on
like
these?
you, Candy. I did like you. Now you threw 2 under the bus. On my
No, I
list.
just said he's always injured, John.
No. It's okay. It's all right. I'll remember that.
It was out of concern, John. Like we're all worried about Tua.
Right.
I'm not worried.
Oh.
Y'all should be.
Anyway, that's my dolphin talk for the night. Thanks, Eric, for letting me get that in.
Actually, y'all are both right. Zion is always injured. I think it's because he did the one and done. He did one and done.
Okay.
He made
Possibility.
national news. He was drafted round 1 because he finished the championship without a shoe. Like literally, y'all. Like, but he also ate a little too much gumbo once he got down to New Orleans, and you can't do that. That's sorry.
Well,
Eric,
I mean, in
that's
Zion's
there.
defense, I do want to say in Zion's defense, he actually broke his foot, and the only way to heal
That's
an
true.
injury like that is to stay off of it. Now, don't get me wrong, he has plenty of money to have personal chefs, a nutritionist, a dietitian, that to where at least you can handle it in that way. But in New Orleans, I'm gonna eat.
And you know what? There's ways to work your upper body out without putting pressure on your foot. There really are.
You're very true. Very true.
You can even sit on the couch and practice your shot.
It's harder to lose weight and keep the weight
can even
off when
get
you are
off the
immobile.
chair and roll around.
I know.
Like,
Right.
but
All right, Carrie. Well, go ahead, Jen. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, Kawhi. I think he'll recover fine. Kawhi needs to get over the past.
Mhm.
He needs to forgive. That's gonna hold him back. But you know me.
I'm just gonna be quiet.
I know. I'm saying it for you, Megan. I'm being more diplomatic.
We're on a time crunch, so I'm just gonna be quiet with that one. All right, Carrie, talk to me about these 2 injuries and who you think is gonna be the bigger problem.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you that Candy's reference to Tua was also what I was going to say. So, but John doesn't like me anyway because
Add you to the list.
John doesn't like me anyway, so we're okay with that. That being said, we watched Zion get injured when he was playing in college, and I watched that and I'm thinking, so that's going to hinder him. And I've already told you that I don't follow. I just kind of watch the excitement, the endings and such. So watching him get injured and then come into the league, I'm thinking, as an observer, that is going to be something that he doesn't walk away from. I mean, I did watch the fall. He's a big man. When you fall, when you have nothing to land on but your hip, it's going to hurt. I can also speak to the fact that it is hard. While there are things you can do to strengthen your upper body, when you are immobile, like I was, and until I had my surgery this year, you can't do a whole lot. There's a lot of pain involved. And while common sense says you can do things, your body says you can't. And so you have to listen to your body. Kawhi is a superstar. I mean, and as Candy said, he knows that he listens to his body. So why can't we? Why can't we just trust the fact that he knows what's best to make sure he makes it the long run? We did with Tom Brady. Good God, why did I have to say that?
Okay. I get you.
Kawhi's body is light.
Can I ask a question though? Don't you think Zion knows his body too?
No.
I actually do. I actually
He knows
kinda
his
do think
stomach.
Oh no. Okay. All right, guys. We're gonna push forward to the last little bit of our NBA topic. And instead of you having name one for each conference, I just want y'all to name what team you think is the team to beat in the NBA this season so far from what we've seen already. Candy, start us off.
I'm going to say my Bucks. My Bucks are
Okay.
3-0. They beat the Brooklyn Nets tonight. I think they're hot. I think as long as Giannis stays healthy, and it's not been a problem, but you never know, and injuries happen in the NBA. I think they're going to be a team to beat and team to reckon with. They want to get back to where they were 2 years ago when they won it all. He wants
Okay.
more.
Absolutely agree. All right, John, who do you think's the team to beat, and why is it Miami?
Yeah, first of all, Candy, Giannis, I'm going to give you a hot take. Giannis will end his career with the same amount of championships as Patrick Mahomes. One. He'll never win another championship in his life. You book
Hey, just
that.
get it.
Eric Wilson,
That's
book
all.
it.
That's all.
10-46, 10-26, 22.
John,
Book
just
that.
like you don't like me because of the Dolphins, and I'm not going to like you for this.
Hey, they
Oh,
still
no.
have Budenholzer. Like, you still have Budenholzer, so I have to
You know,
I
I'm
have to
critical.
mark that down against you. You wanted to spite him, and I don't think you can do that again. Miami's got to be the team to beat. If Max Struss has a little bit smaller shoe last year, and we beat the Celtics, so I'm just saying Miami's got to be the team to beat. We're the number 1 seed, not Eric Wilson 76ers or anything like that. We beat the 76ers, by the way. So the Celtics who beat us, yeah, look what kind of trouble they're in with all their stuff, their coaching staff and whatnot.
John, y'all are the number 1 seed. Are you sure?
Last year we were the number 1 seed last year.
Oh, I thought we were
Yeah.
talking this year.
This year it's an
y'all were
82
right
game
there
season.
with the Sixers.
It's a marathon.
Y'all right under the
It's
Sixers.
a marathon, not a sprint. I mean, the Portland Trailblazers are what, 4-0? Like, come on.
Okay. Oh no, Michael Caratanudo, wrap it up. Okay,
Gotta go
Carrie,
Heat, man.
Okay, Carrie, talk to us about who's the team to beat in the NBA.
Celtics are probably going to be the team to beat, even with their interim coach. They're still knocking it out of the park. So I think that speaks volume for their team. Although I'm gonna get things thrown at me. Grizzlies. I want to watch. I like watching.
I like the Grizzlies.
Ja,
pick.
I like watching Ja play. So okay, there I've said
It's
it.
very exciting.
Thank you for coming to my coming out party.
All right,
Great.
Jen.
Okay.
Jen, your pick for our team to beat in the NBA this season.
I mean, Megan, who do I rap? You know who I'm gonna say. And Carrie,
Right.
thanks for that shout out. I am gonna say the Celtics. I think they have a lot to prove. I am curious if certain coaches aren't actually helping out, at least via Zoom. But I don't know. I can see that going either way. I think that the Heat are going to underachieve. No offense, John, but I really hate the Heat. Their fans are obnoxious.
I love our fans. They're the best in the
I'm
NBA.
excluding you from that comment, John, because you ain't half bad. But
Thanks.
man,
I really think Memphis is the team to beat. And then, my kind of dark horse pick is one that has been surprising in week 1, and I think they're going to continue to do pretty well, and that's going to be Portland. I think that we counted them.
James on fire, dude.
I am
Doesn't
dead.
he do this
serious.
every year though? Like, come on, don't drink the
No.
Kool-Aid,
No.
man.
Last year was bad.
No, this is just my pick. This is just my pick, guys. All right. And I don't necessarily think that they're going to win it all by any means, but I do think they're going to make a playoff run. Let's go ahead and switch things up. We are going to talk a little bit about the NFL. We're going to talk about the Thursday night matchup. We got the Ravens in Tampa Bay playing with Tom Brady and crew. All right. So the Thursday night matchups have not been very exciting. Do you think we get a good game? And who do you think is going to be the winner? Everybody gets 30 seconds. Jen, start us off.
Unpopular opinion. Tom Brady got something to prove. I think he's tearing his O-line a new one. However, he did a really bad job in picking Bowles to be the head coach because let's face facts, he's the one who picked Bowles because he didn't want to be coached. But I don't know that they'll win, but it'll be a lot closer than people anticipate. Because Lamar's got a lot to prove too, but it'll be interesting to see what color is most in that stadium. I think it'll be a good game. I think it'll be higher scoring than what Denver's given us. God, I'm so torn on this one. I really do kind of think that Tampa Bay might pull it off. I don't want to say that, but
Who's your pick?
I'm going to go with Tampa Bay, but it's going to be really close. That paid me.
Okay.
Give me Mike Portanudo answer. Like, well, either
Okay.
wins. I pick both.
I've been debating on this all week long. You don't understand how many times I've changed my pick 'em.
Okay, Candy, tell us who you think's going to win and why. 30 seconds.
I'm going to give the edge to Tampa Bay because I think Tampa Bay was embarrassed and they're playing at home. And I think that is going to play the difference in this game. Lamar wants, to beat Tom, but I think Tom's going to eke it out this time.
Okay. All right, Carrie, who's your pick for Thursday Night Football?
So we watched the Ravens. We know their MO is they're going to go out and score a lot quickly and then fall apart in the fourth quarter. We know that the Bucks do not carry the game until the fourth quarter. I think the Ravens are going to have more points and be able to hold out, even though they will shut down in the fourth quarter. So I'm going Ravens, and that's gross. But go ahead.
That's gross. All
You
right,
couldn't win
John.
in that one though, Carrie. You couldn't win there.
Yeah, I mean the Ravens haven't looked very good. Lamar has looked pedestrian, for a while now. Like even like back going to the Giants game, he's looked pedestrian. He hasn't looked like that Lamar that we saw the first couple weeks. I got to go Bucks. I mean, they're at home. Got Tom Brady, who they have a lot more to prove, and the Ravens have just been inconsistent defensively. They can't stop the pass, and when you got to stop Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and guys like that, I just don't see how you do it. So I got to go Bucks.
The Chiefs have a
All right.
gameplay for that, by the way.
Oh. All right, thanks, Carrie. I'm actually gonna go with the Bucks. I think home field advantage is gonna play a big thing in this game, and I think they have a lot to prove. I don't think that the Bucks are gonna have a great season. I don't think they're gonna go very far, but I think this is gonna be one of those games that are gonna be like not only an actual W, but it's gonna be a moral victory for them as well. Like it's gonna be something that kind of turns things around for them a little bit. All right, guys. Now we want to slide over to a little bit of sad news, but I guess it depends on how you look at it. We heard yesterday that Brittany Griner, who has been wrongfully detained for 251 days now, that her appeal was denied. And I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It might be the start of the process to bring her home because now they know for sure. They went ahead and upheld that 9-year sentence, but they did calculate some time from this time that she has been locked and detained. And so while she's been detained for this period of time, she gets time and a half. So she'll end up serving 8 years if she's forced to serve that. Just kind of give your thoughts real quick on, do you think she's going to be able to come home? Is this something like that? Or, what are your thoughts on that real quick? Jen?
I hope she gets home. I know we've discussed this at length on Three Chicks and on Chicks and Salsa. I feel like the timing was very odd with her detainment and on so many levels. Like she had just handed in her resignation for next season, said she wasn't going to come back to play. I don't know. I know she admitted that the weed was hers, but how many people in the United States admit guilt? You're in Russia. It's a whole different animal there. It's a lot scarier there.
Absolutely. Candy, what are your thoughts on it?
I think it's going to be very political. It started out as political. Let's face it. It started. She got detained right before the Russian-Ukraine escalation. Let's put it that way. So I think it'll take politics to get her back home. To be honest with you, I think it gets done before she serves the whole sentence. But I think it's going to take political movement to get it done.
Okay. Jen, Carrie, John, do y'all have anything to add to this?
I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to remind you a timeline. She's arrested, and 1 week later, they invade Ukraine. They needed something to capture our attention. We are now walking into the midterm elections, and there has been much documented and talked about how there was one side of our political system was there was a key component talking to Putin, and going into our midterm election, do you think Putin's not flexing his muscles? Do you think that this has not been a setup? And less than 1/8 of an ounce, and she's serving 8 hard years. Okay. So let's just be real. It's a political move by Russia and Putin, and trying to influence the way we act here in the United States. Is my opinion.
Agree. John, do you have anything to add, or you want me to go ahead and wrap it up?
Carrie hit all the points. She hit every single point, so I completely agree with everything you guys said.
All right, guys. Well, that is going to do it for us tonight on Sports Arena. We had Chicks and Salsa take over. John joined us as well. We appreciate everybody commenting, sharing, and watching the show. We will see you back next Monday.